Here we are. Welcome everyone back live to Crypto's News. It is me, Omar Bam, aka Crypto, here to talk with you about what is happening in the crypto street today to make sure you stay on top of what is happening and make the best decisions for yourself and stay protected, safeguard your crypto, grow your health, grow your wealth, and prosper through the financial collapse. Never said that part of it, but man, does it seem so true considering everything going on right now. It's like no one has any idea what to do except maybe just buy. Wait for a bigger dip to buy? I mean, what do we do? Inflation is not even keeping up with wages or keeping up with GDP. It's destroying everything. So what choice do we have but to buy things that are limited and really test this supply and demand theory, right? I think that the best way to do a play on that, of course, is with cryptos. Is better than anything like gold even. You can always take more gold out of the ground. There could be new production methods for it. Same thing for other precious metals, but it just does not apply with the hardest of monies. These are things like Bitcoin and Ethereum that might be downright deflationary. You have lost Bitcoin. You have some dude, James Howell, scouring a landfill for his lost Bitcoin. They'll never print those Bitcoin again. Well, it's unlikely to be printed again unless it's some sort of massive consensus, unlikely to happen at any time soon. And you have the same thing with Ethereum, getting ready for the merge. 90% drop in issuance could take it negative on a yearly basis where you see less ETH actually out there and liquid than we've ever seen previously. A huge reduction that could be the same equivalent or something like it as having 3 happenings for Bitcoin in a row together, actually at the same time in parallel. And we know how Bitcoin has performed in that kind of environment. Never seen anything like that happen with Ethereum. So these are just some of the best bets that you can be taking, and all sorts of speculative plays that when you see the market turn bullish, they could be the number 1 place to be in if you want to expedite your gains. And so it's been a radical shift recently where we've had just a lot of pain, and now things seeming to reverse somewhat, leading to new froth in the markets. We're seeing that with stock markets. We're seeing that with gold turning around somewhat now as well. It bounced off its lower bounds here, according to Peter Brandt, a big trader. He's expecting that gold is going to be having a huge run up soon. The world is awash in money, and it's going to be chasing limited assets. I think it's going to be chasing these cryptocurrencies primarily as well, as they're one of the only bets really you can take advantage of Now, although cash does seem to be the right place, huh? To be for now, or it has been. Welcome everybody into the show. Just bantering a little bit here while we go ahead and get dived into what's going on. What's up, 10 pence? Yeah, please remember to hit the likes and share the videos. It would be a huge help here. BT, what's up? I'm doing well today. Happy to see you here as well. I hope everything is fantastic for you. Umar, thank you for joining me as well. And Pot of Gold, appropriate to have your name. Glad to be back here with you as well. So let's go ahead and start diving into things. Don't want to take too long. So with the prices, we're pretty much flat for the most part. Although again, it's just been days of rallies, so I'm not too surprised. I actually would have expected a bigger pullback here, but we're not seeing it. I think there's a lot of buy pressure that is keeping Ethereum and Bitcoin bid up here, although Ethereum is down 1.9% on the day at 1710, and we have Bitcoin right around 24,000 bucks. It was over that earlier today, and it's just been wavering around above $24,000, but pretty much flat over the last 24 hours. That's pretty much what I have to say about that. Gas price is really low, so not a lot of usage of Ethereum today, down to 6 Gwei, pretty damn cheap. We have Bitcoin, according here to Rect Capital. Bitcoin is very close to performing a weekly close above the 200-week moving average. Happy Friday, everyone. Technically, it looks like BTC is doing well to reclaim the 200-week MA as support moving average. BTC, crypto, Bitcoin. So yes, you can see here, it looks like it's trying to close over this 200 that's in the orange day, the 200-day moving average. And that would be something that could set us up for nice support level here. Just wanted to present that for you. So this is something making the rounds. Although it'll have to obviously clear also the 100 moving average, the 50-day. I think there could be for more short-term trading more relevant to you. But over long-term, things could really not be that nasty for Bitcoin, especially if you look at this. Take a look at these monthly candles. So we've had a sets of monthly candles that were really steep here on the right, as you can see in the red for Bitcoin, but we just got a really nice pop off here with this green in the recent period. So this is actually for S&P 500. I'm sorry, but this is something that could also catapultize Bitcoin as well, because if you believe that Bitcoin is correlated quite well to the stock market, then this is something to follow. And again, it looks like TradFi has just had a lot of bad news, and the fact that we've only got a 75 basis point hike rather than 100 basis point hike is like a dovish signal, apparently. It's just been COVID, monkeypox, you name it. Everything that's bad coming seemingly at once, environmental issues, and earnings just not looking that bad. And looking at just a 75 basis point hike could be a green light for markets across the board here. When we look at Bitcoin specifically, though, I really like this chart here. It was posted by Euphoric Soul on TradingView. You can see different levels of resistance here for Bitcoin, all the way up here around 46,000 to I guess you could say $48,000, and you have the second area here, third area, and the most recent area. We've been bouncing off this lower diagonal here, and it looks like we could see a leg down. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we do go down, but it still would not signal that we're completely bearish and going to be heading and breaking this channel at all. We could go all the way down to around $20,000. That's what I'm hearing a lot of traders calling for, that we could be seeing $20,000, and that's what they're waiting for before buying back in. I'm hearing a lot of folks saying that they're closing their longs today. They feel like things have climbed too much. And to me, that's good. The fact that I'm seeing so many people getting bearish, to me, makes me a little bit more positive. It's kind of scary to try to time these markets, as we know, and generally those who perform the best are those who dollar cost average over time. They don't try to time the market. Time in the market beats timing the market. And when you had all this pessimism, it seemed like everyone was selling right around when we had the bottom. That's when you had the Bitcoin ETF open up. Within 3 days of the bottom, you had this opportunity with BITI, BITI ticker signal to go ahead and short Bitcoin for the first time in this play. That's exactly around when we got the bottom. So if this is the bottom, of course, not to say that that's a guarantee, but it would be nice, wouldn't it? I like this post here on the cryptocurrency subreddit. I think it summed up some of what could be happening right now. And it was a question posted here by Skeptical Crypto Dude, who got us started here, who said, why is crypto going up after the news of being in a recession? So many people are confused, right? The markets are definitely behaving in mysterious ways lately. It seems like we turn from bullish to bearish and vice versa on the daily. I find it a bit odd that the market is pumping on the news of a recession. Is Bitcoin and crypto proving it really is a hedge against a devaluing devaluing of the dollar? Or is the fact that it was only a 75 basis point hike until September that maybe caused the case for optimism? Do you guys believe in this pump, or is it just temporary until another leg down? I personally am not sure, so I'm slowly dollar cost averaging into my favorite projects. Maybe a smart guy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have a great day, everyone. And this response by Danny Shalom I thought was pretty interesting. The market was expecting a recession confirmation and either a 75 to 100 basis point rate hike. So expectations being met means less uncertainty, which is good for markets. Also, earnings weren't quite as bad as the market was expecting. In addition, the Fed said that they were likely going to slow down rate hikes, something I didn't mention on the show, but was alluded to during the press conference. It's not necessarily a guarantee the way it's being phrased here, I will say though. But in addition, the Fed said that they were likely going to slow down rate hikes from here on out, i.e. 50 basis points at their next hike in September. That is certainly a possibility, but again, not a guarantee. Smart money is always looking 6 to 12 months ahead. Bitcoin and cryptos are the smartest money. Why did Bitcoin go parabolic after the COVID crash? Smart money saw that the Fed was going to print money and support markets with QE, and people would be getting stimulus checks. Why did the market peak in November? Smart money saw that the Fed was going to start hiking interest rates and start quantitative tightening, which means that a potential recession would be 6 to 12 months away. Why did the markets pump up this week? The worst of the rate hikes is behind us. Again, a little bit too confirmed there for my tastes, but certainly a possibility. I do feel that, again, just to add solidity to what I just said about cryptos being the smart money, it's that cryptos were invented to be the meta money. They live outside, or were started outside of the traditional financial system when you had Bitcoin first created. And that is the ultimate foundation, the ultimate floor of cryptos, is that they're untethered. Even if they were delisted off of exchanges, there are other ways to trade Bitcoin and cryptos that exist. It's just a fact. And so they tend to trade ahead of everything else just because they don't have to fit within that mold. And they can look at everything in macro and beyond it. So many people still don't understand how cryptos even work. It really baffles me. It's so funny when I watch experts speaking like they know what they're saying ultimately, but at least they're catching up. So many of the traditional experts. Now is the time to be loading up, says Danny Shalom, because there will be a point where the Fed completely stops raising rates and then lowers them again. I think that is the big bet here that people are trying to get ahead of, at least some of the market. I'm not saying everyone. Some are trying to take advantage of the near-term, short-term trades with the merge, thinking it's going to be a crash afterwards. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about those that are believing that the Fed will be forced to reverse course sometime between now and early 2023. Seems to be the consensus that I'm seeing. The market will start to take off once there's even a hint that the Fed will begin to lower rates again. We haven't gotten that hint yet. It seems like they're still saying that they're going to have to hike until we get to 2% inflation, because you can't fix anything else, or the Fed can't fix anything else until we get to 2% inflation. So that means that they're going to have to hike up interest rates. But at some point, everything breaks. Or starts to break. And we've seen in the past that they're very quick to reverse course. Will it be the same this time? I have a feeling that their main tool, printing money, is going to be the one that they're going to be heading with. And that's why cryptos are a bet against that, since we can't necessarily print, again, more of these things as easily. They're serving as a hedge against them. They're the ultimate hedge against them, those who run the money printers. So I went ahead and ran a poll today because I think I was just curious to see what everyone is saying on either side of the fence here. Is this the start that we're seeing of a new cryptocurrency bull market? Are we in the early stages? And so I said, yes, these are some of your options. Yes, all-time highs are incoming. Maybe we'll pass $60,000 Bitcoin. Yes, but no, not to all-time highs. So maybe we will start pumping, but we won't reach those levels. No, this is a trap. Maybe we're just going to get a huge dump, and this will continue the downtrend that we've been seeing over the last months. And most people, we have about 50% of the participants in this poll on Twitter. We have, what is this? I hope this is live, 340 votes. I just started this about 2 hours ago, this poll. Yep, 340 votes. 50% of these people, and by the way, 350 votes on crypto Twitter these days it can be a lot, since there's a lot less participants, I would say. Although more may be coming in since crypto is getting a little bit more bullish, and that's really when you see the interest climbing in crypto Twitter and everywhere else. But anyway, the fact that you have 50% believing this is a trap, to me, is a bullish signal. The fact that you have so many people calling for closing of their longs and saying that we're going to probably sell off here, go down to $20,000 Bitcoin, is a sign they may not see exactly what they want. And this is usually what you want to do is bet against the herd. Not that I'm saying you should be doing this. In fact, I do think that we could be seeing a bit of a pullback. But the fact that we're only down about 1.8% with Ethereum, which as I've been saying over the last few videos, I think Ethereum is the leader. Down only 1.8% is really nothing. I'm just seeing a lot of buying pressure here. Although the walls do look significant, they're usually fake when you see these sell walls or buy walls on the depth chart. So I don't know. Some people might be left out here and really feel the fear of missing out, a real FOMO where they meant to buy back in and those lower prices just never came, the $400 Ethereums and so on. Ethereum Classic has been a huge rallier. Where's it at today? Let's see. I think it climbed to number 18. Oh, it's dropped a little bit. Up 52% on the week. It's up like over the last month, 168%. Been a massive performer around this Ethereum merge thing. You have miners also flocking to the Ethereum chain, the Ethereum Classic chain, which is supposed to be a dead chain. And, its security has been climbing a lot. It has been one of the main targets of 51% attacks. And it's just gone to show that 51% attacks, where you have someone buying enough hash rate in order to reorganize a chain or something like that, that is not the end of a chain. Ethereum Classic still lives on, and in fact is now the beneficiary perhaps of an increased amount of graphics processor units and ASICs as well that have been previously perhaps mining Ethereum are now moving over to Ethereum Classic. And it is up a huge amount, about 66% here since July 14th, when it was at 269 terahashes. Now it's up to 406 terahashes in just about 2 weeks. Pretty massive change in their hash rate. I think it makes sense, right? If I'm mining Ethereum and some of these cards might not be viable for Ethereum anymore, that I would want to go to a chain if I don't want to sell these cards. That will allow me to continue to make some sort of profit. So, for example, this is exemplified here by this quote here by Mizari's Sami Kassab, who said in a research report, Ethereum's mining network is made up of two types of hardware you can use to get some of these rewards currently, which will not be available once we get the merge. So these are the ASICs and the GPUs I just mentioned. The problem with ASICs is that they can't be repurposed for different applications. You can't use them to play Cyberpunk or whatever game on a computer. So for different applications besides mining Ethereum, ETH hash, Ethereum Classic is the only other proof of work coin that can be mined with an Ethereum ASIC, since its hashing algorithm is compatible with ETH's algorithm. So you can see why there might be a move to Ethereum Classic with these hash rates. And plus, you had this being said on July 21st, so almost a week ago, at the ETHCC conference, the conference that took place in Paris. You had Vitalik say it's a very welcoming community, talking about Ethereum Classic. If you like proof of work, you should go use Ethereum Classic. It's a totally fine chain. So he just set a green light, He didn't shit on Ethereum Classic. He said that's all right. If that's what you want to do, go for it. And he said that is not a joke. So that could have been something that helped catalyze the rally as well. Support from the Ethereum founder, you could even call him in a way the Ethereum Classic creator, although he wasn't the head of it. You had other entities that were really keen on trying to see Ethereum Classic survive early on when it forked away from Ethereum following the DAO incident, where there was a lot of there was an exploit that resulted in loss of funds that had companies like Digital Currency Group and Poloniex, one of the biggest exchanges, listing Ethereum Classic. That is the reason that it survives to this very day. And continues to. Wow. Just the anti-fragility again of these projects. Goes to show. If you can hang on, these blockchains will likely hang on for all time. I can't see them being shut down unless some of these early ones, not every single shitcoin that exists out there, but many of these layer ones that existed, I think, like Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin Cashes, will find some sort of community that will want to keep them alive through time. And there may be a new coin that maybe want to kept alive through time, and that I talked about in the last video when we were trying to speculate as to who might be creating the new or leading up the new effort to keep the current version of Ethereum where you can mine. And let's say that you don't want to move to Ethereum Classic. Maybe you want to take advantage of the current version of Ethereum, and when Ethereum forks away with the merge, you could call it a fork, you might want to have the current version of Ethereum continue to exist. And so it looks like we have Chandler Guo here, who was one of the earliest Bitcoin angels, so investing in Bitcoin startups, and one of the earliest Bitcoin miners in China. Chandler Guo seems like he's quite interested in being the one to lead up this effort. And so I'm just showing here an interesting tweet, which is how I found out about this, by Galoy Capital, who is pinging Vitalik Buterin, the Ethereum Foundation, and Chandler Guo to try to be their advisor in order to spearhead this effort, to keep that chain alive, to keep this chain alive. Either of you interested in our help, says Galoy Capital, $5 million for 1 year of consulting, $7.5 million for 1 year of exclusive consulting. Won't help the other side. Pretty reasonable given the market cap of ETH. The Ethereum Foundation can easily afford it, Vitalik. I understand the strategy of promoting Ethereum Classic to make it more attractive than Ethereum 1 to deter hash rate from going to Ethereum 1. So he's basically saying that's why Ethereum was saying, hey, go to Ethereum Classic, is to try to deter them from keeping from mining the minority chain that will likely exist now. This might work at a surface level, but could also backfire due to fundamental relative value traders. Profit seekers, rather. Taking high ETC price as implying higher ETH1 price. After the pandemonium era, the first few blocks after this fork, the steady state of Ethereum 1 without oracles, with DeFi wrecked, with no stables or wrapped Bitcoin and few NFTs is still probably better than Ghost Chain Ethereum Classic. Ooh. Taking a stab there at Ethereum Classic. People will realize this regardless of whether I say anything. I think there are better strategies to protect ETH2 and possibly to create benefit to ETH2 from ETH1's existence. So he's trying to basically call it already ETH1. So maybe that'll be the name of the token. It'll be ETH1 token. Chandler Guo, given the short time frame you have, there's a lot of work that needs to be done ahead of the fork. You can make a compelling case to project why it's in their interest to maintain their project on both forks. Code is mostly the same. EVM is the same, so the Ethereum virtual machine. For projects who do not want to maintain their app on ETH1, you can find opportunists unrelated to the project to take over. I think it's going to be quite difficult to find these opportunists really maintaining a lot of this, but I guess he might. I mean, that's why we're going to pay this guy, right? That's why Vitalik's going to pay this guy $5 million, $7.5 million bucks, because he has all the answers, or Galoy Capital, the group does. Some smaller exchanges will see either one as an opportunity to win market share. This induces exchanges will follow. Blah, 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 blah. Who wants us on their team? So it does look like Chandler is, again, keen on keeping ETH1 chain alive, if that is what it's called, or whatever expression of the minority chain will be, because Wu Blockchain had this tweet of theirs retweeted by Chandler Guo. Chinese miners currently have 3 different opinions on Ethereum switch to proof of stake. 1, Bitmain Tech supports ETC, so one of the biggest mining or ASIC chip producing companies, goes ahead and supports Ethereum Classic. 2, Chandler leads the discussion on forking proof of work ETH. So, I mean, Chandler was one of the biggest supporters of Ethereum Classic and an early investor in many of the startups for Ethereum Classic. So it might make sense he'd want to support another minority chain. Bixen Wallet expressed support for other proof of work such as Cadena, Starcoin, Alios, CKB, and I don't know about any of those, I'll admit. And at present, says Wu Blockchain, there are nearly $5 billion of graphics cards mining machines and ASIC Ethereum mining machines, the A11 E9s, that need to find a way to continue mining after Ethereum turns to proof of stake in September. Most belong to Chinese miners. So maybe ETH1 becomes the Chinese miner chain. And after retweeting some of this, I had and commenting on Chandler coming back into the press. Dead on Nix, the creator, as he calls himself, really one of the co-creators of Bitcoin Cash, another surviving minority fork after the big Bitcoin Segwit 2X drama. Amori said, "This guy is bad news," talking about Chandler. Ooh, drama. Every time he shows up, things turn into a clown show. Anyway, I thought this was interesting if you're wondering about whether this minority chain could survive, whether it's going to be viable to invest into. For example, there was this discussion on the ETH Finance subreddit today about how some might realize that USDC, GBTC, these things just will not work Many of these Oracle networks just will not work on ETH1, right? This minority chain. And so maybe you're going to have a dumping of these altcoins in favor of holding pure ETH. So when the fork happens, you get this token that might have some sort of value, this ETH1 token, and you're going to get your ETH2 tokens rather than have the plummeting value of these altcoins on the minority chain that you'll have nothing to do with and no real opportunity to trade. Anyways, just looking into all of that, I think this was also an interesting comment as to what could happen by Demetrius. He said, yeah, it would be an MEV apocalypse of everyone front running each other to drain as much liquidity as possible out of proof of work DeFi, as long as proof of work ETH has a redeemable speculative value above $0, especially if some sort of major exchange were to list it because some sort of huge community came out. Or maybe you had the leader of one of these exchanges come out and decide that ETH1, maybe ETH should never have been proof of stake. And there's a reason that Ethereum is successful, and it's only because of proof of work. And it just does not. And proof of stake is evil because it is inherently the same thing that fiat is, the same thing the Bitcoin maximalists say. And maybe they decide that they want to support ETH1 trading, and that keeps the value above zero, since all the other tokens are worth exactly $0. What I'd love to see them do, says Demetrius, which will never happen, would be to reset the whole state. I think this is interesting, to zero. Start over, right? But keeping all the same way that it works, basically the same architecture and everything else. Since they got a hard fork the bomb away anyway, the time freeze bomb, the freeze bomb, whatever you want to call it, you'd get a proof of work version of ETH with no pre-mine, right? Ethereum is pre-mined by the Ethereum Foundation, no MEV, and the usual selling point that the chain is so cheap because no one's using it and there's no state bloat, so they can jack up the gas limit to 500 million gas if they want to. But that's so much more effort than just not to update their nodes to the Paris releases and hope to dump some cloned ETH onto unsuspecting proof of work maxis. I imagine someone will have to go ahead and maintain clients. You can't just let things continue in perpetuity as they are, right? Chandler, save us. I don't know. We'll see if some sort of value comes out of it. But there is a potential that it does exist and some sort of community, again, adopts it. I'm already seeing the formations of that, just following that narrative. And that could eventually result in you having some sort of value across chains. But you don't want to be duped into selling all your ETH2 somehow for ETH1. That could be some sort of propaganda that comes out after this fork. So just be very careful about what you're reading on social media out there and what groups you're following. Phishing that could be taking place around this fork. Hey, if you want to be an ETH2 after the fork, give us your private key and we're going to help you with the transition. No, you don't need to do anything. Be very careful. Hey, you made it. Walk the line. You made it here in the chat. That's what's important. Thank you for making it out. Oh, big hugs, JT. What's up? Big hugs, my man. So I also like Mariano. He previously worked for Maker, and Mariano had this to say, just to wrap up everything nice and pretty about this fork. If a fork happened, or potential fork, if a fork happens and no one is around to update the oracles doesn't make a sound. James said, from my understanding of trees falling, no. Man, we'll see how this plays out. That'll be it'll be very interesting to follow, I think. So there's been a lot of talking about, since I like to bring up some of the main subjects that are being touched about in crypto across the board, always with a focus with Ethereum, of course, just because this show used to originally be called Ethereum News, and it's something that I'm primarily interested into, and it's my main investment currently is Ethereum, so I tend to follow it. But there's been talk about Michael Saylor and what he had to say. So here's his comment. Ethically sound means, about Ethereum that is, ethically sound means I need to know that nobody could change the protocol, which includes Vitalik. Like he could do it by himself, but whatever. I need to know that no one at the Ethereum Foundation, no individual can change the protocol, because if they could change the protocol, it makes it a security. And if it makes it a security, then it's not going to become global money. Okay. I could sit here and pick it apart for you, but luckily I found someone on ETH Finance, which JT is a great moderator of, to go ahead and do it for us. So Set One Less said, Saylor talking shit is a great indication that BTC shills are pissed with the price action of late. For example, I think here we've had 3 higher floors here of ETH versus BTC, the great ratio. Ethereum has been performing quite well here, bouncing off those bottoms here. So that might be upsetting some of the BTC shills, with ETH being much more strong and BTC really weak with no momentum. This whole quote doesn't make one bit of sense. Why does ethically sound mean he has to know no one can change a protocol? These are some absurd connotation he developed in his delirium. This happens to people who don't have anything to do, like BTC shills, because there's nothing to do with BTC than count your balance. Ethereum is a technology, and like all technologies, will be developed with time. If they change a protocol, that makes it a security. Again, more dumb shit from Grandpop. Legally, can a protocol be changed is not even the mandated test to determine whether something is a security or not. It's the Howey rule that determines whether something is a security. And a court determines that, not some washed up grandpa. Then it's not going to become global money. No shit, moron. It's aiming to be the global consensus layer, not global money. This whole BTC shill joke, this shill thing, talking about becoming global money is a joke. They don't have one bit of understanding what makes a global currency money. Instead, they have started believing in half-truths and conspiracies peddled by guys like Saifedean Ammous, the writer of that Bitcoin book, the Bible on Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it. I feel sad for the fools who listen to this guy drivel on things he has no idea about. I actually was watching the Talk with Saifedean on Lex Friedman's podcast, and it was one of the more cringy podcasts. And I'm not shitting on Saifedean. I'm sure he's brilliant economist, but he focused primarily on Bitcoin. But his use of buzzwords was called out by Lex Friedman, who was frequently being like, hey, dude, just the way you speak isn't really substantive. It is something that really makes one's emotions go up, but it's really not much of value. It's kind of embarrassing to watch happen, but I thought it was interesting. Today, I as far as homework, I haven't watched this yet, but I did see that Lex Friedman on his podcast had Brian Armstrong of Coinbase, so I am interested to watch that one, considering Coinbase has been in the spotlight quite a lot. Hear what he has to say just about crypto overall as well, outside of just Coinbase, since he was an early believer in it. Let me know if you guys have watched it, what you think about it down below in the comments. So the FDIC has been coming out and sending cease and desist letters over to Voyager. We've talked about how Voyager had spoken and posted about how their customers might have Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation insurance for their funds that were lost on Voyager Digital, which was trying to be like a Coinbase. They had their own debit card. You could park USD there. You could use it for all sorts of things, this platform, but they were the ones that had liquidity issues and went bankrupt. Well, they filed for bankruptcy first with the same company that Celsius has, or the same group that Celsius is using for their bankruptcy proceedings. But yeah, they got in trouble here with the FDIC. We're talking about that in this letter. You can see it, and also got in trouble with the Federal Reserve themselves. So you can see here on this fact sheet that was posted with the FDIC over the past several months, some crypto companies, Voyager, have suspended withdrawals or halted operations. In some cases, these companies have represented to their customers that their products are eligible for FDIC deposit insurance coverage, which may lead customers of these companies to believe mistakenly that their money or investments are safe. The FDIC is concerned that some customers of crypto companies such as crypto custodians, exchanges, brokers, wallet providers, and neobanks may be confused about whether neobanks. That's the first time I've seen that written. I like it. Neobanks rather than shadow banks, these scary crypto companies. All these exchanges are shadow. And if so, how they may be covered by FDIC Deposit Insurance Corporation. So anyway, they just reminded us here that they only insure dollar assets, basically. It was the same letter that we got here as well, which was the original letter before we got the fact sheet. Voyager shall immediately remove any and all statements, representations, or references that suggest in any way explicitly or expressly that Voyager is insured by FDIC. Customers who invested with the Voyager cryptocurrency platform would receive FDIC insurance coverage for all funds provided to, held on by, on or with Voyager with reference to the insured depository institution account, or the FDIC would insure customers against the failure of Voyager itself from Voyager's websites, including any pop-ups, hyperlinks, or chatbot disclosures, Twitter and other social media accounts, mobile apps, online outlets. Remove it from everywhere. And within 2 business days, this was spread yesterday, that's when this was written. Within 2 business days from the receipt of this letter, Voyager shall provide written confirmation to the FDIC and Board of Governors that it has fully complied with the requests set forth above. So they have basically till tomorrow to respond to this. So not looking great for Voyager, kind of embarrassing. But it basically talks about how Voyager funds or crypto funds or securities and other types of assets like this aren't covered. But USD funds that were held at the Metropolitan Commercial Bank, USD funds specifically that might have been parked at Voyager, and those exact funds were held one for one, as we're hearing from Voyager, were held at this bank. Those may be covered from what I can tell still based on the wording of this. So if you're holding just USD on Voyager, this shouldn't scare you too much. I do want to say, if you were holding out for that. Also, I had missed this a little while ago. As we begin to wrap up here, maybe you missed it as well. If you're using MetaMask and you had funds on XDAI, you know how you can hit the drop down at the top of MetaMask and check which network you're connected to, whether it's the Ethereum network or some other side chain. If you see by default there on MetaMask's XDAI and you click on it, it has not been connecting recently. And so there was a user who had asked on Reddit, Labrov, do help me. I seem to have dropped the ball on this. I was confused as well. What's up with the XDAI sidechain? MetaMask does not let me switch to it. Is it just temporarily down, or is it dead? Has it been renamed? I had some assets on there. Not a lot. Thanks. That was my position. Maybe it was yours as well, and you're curious. You want some of those funds back. So XDAI was acquired, according to Behind 245, by and rebranded as Gnosis Chain. Search Gnosis on chainlist.org to see how to connect. Your assets should still be there. So I went ahead and went through that process first just to make sure that it was safe. Chainlist.org. Really like this website. It allows you to find all these different networks. You can see these side chains like Arbitrum 1. You can find Optimism on here. You can find a list of nodes to connect to manually. So you can go back to MetaMask, click Add Network from that drop down, and instead of having to click on XDAI, just type in the Gnosis chain. Pick here one of the nodes, one of the more trusted nodes. I would go for the green ones here with the score. I went with the one that had the lowest latency, but they should all be quite safe if they have the green lit score here on chainlist.org. You enter here the chain ID, the currency, and you'll be able to retrieve your funds there, and everything should be fine. So yeah, XDAI does continue to exist. It's just called Gnosis, and you can find a list of nodes here on chainlist.org to just repeat what I just said. So all is good. Also, I just saw this right before going live, and I had to share it with you. Again, just going to show how people are going to be driven to cryptocurrencies, in my opinion, when you have increased clampdowns and totalitarian governments continuing things like controlling the bond market and yield curve control, secretly or publicly trying to determine the prices of assets and people's money and capital around the world, managing free trade, trying to play God with money. And you have the same thing right now, it looks like, happening in Israel, which is a little bit scary. A new law is set to take effect in Israel starting August 1st that will ban payments of large sums of money in cash and bank checks, according to the Jerusalem Post. The goal of the reform, according to a statement, is to fight organized crime, money laundering, and tax non-compliance. Of course, trying to ban cash again. Under the new law, any payment to a business above $6,000 NIS or $1,700, that's pretty low, must be made using alternative methods such as digital transfer or a debit card. Or cryptos. Trading between private citizens who are not listed as business owners will be limited to about $4,360 in cash. This is another step in Israel's fight against the use of cash. Previously, cash up to the amount of about $3,200 could be used in business deals. So they're basically cutting that in half almost. We want the public to reduce, they say it flat out, to reduce the use of cash money, according to Tamar Brasha, who is in charge of executing the law on behalf of Israel's tax authority. So he said the goal is to reduce cash fluidity in the market, mainly because crime organizations tend to rely on cash. By limiting the use of it, criminal activity is much harder to carry out. I think this is one of the worst things that can be done, especially to the homeless. And just because it's happening in Israel doesn't mean it can't happen wherever you're at if you're not in Israel, and that it cannot happen here where I'm at in the United States. I think about the homeless people who need cash handouts, the people who busk on the streets because that's their only choice, the people who do art on the streets for cash. What are they supposed to do when they're, in many cases, not even allowed to have bank accounts for many different reasons? What are they supposed to do? This is an attack on those people, and they're citizens as well. It's baffling to me, and just a show of how we need to adopt other systems outside of their control. It upsets me. And so I will finish with our quote of the day, but I actually took a quote of the day that got popular on Twitter from Library, who has been going to hearings with the SEC and just had a recent one I remarked on the show. So Library said, our opening offer for a settlement is the complete abolition of the SEC and 10 years in jail for Gary Gensler. Wow. Powerful words there. So we will leave the show at that. I hope that you all have enjoyed it, and I know that I enjoy your presence so very much. The show would be nothing without you guys. So just so much love to you. For the comments, I'll look through them, those that I have missed while doing the show. But again, I didn't want to make it too long. I will try to pay attention more to the chat in the future ones if the time allows. But we had quite a bit to get through today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Much love, everyone, and stay cryptic. Peace.